Hi everyone, welcome to the message description video. So what we'll be going through is the configuration and different parameters available for the switch, how it can be modified, what are the different statistics obtained from the switch, and how to use it in a demo template as well. So as we can see here, the default Euro switch template is having 5 ports. We can see the port numbers: port 0, port 1, port 2, port 3, port 4. The numbering is from 0 to 4 for a 5 port switch. Then when we double click on the switch, we can see a list of parameters opened up. So the first one is the switch name. So the switch name is used, it should be a unique value. If we have multiple switches, we have to make sure the switch name parameter is configured to have a unique value for the different switches. The number of ports here is 5. So if we have defined 5 ports or 5 ports, then you have to make sure to give the correct numbers here. So user can modify them uh, as per the requirement as well. So if the user wants 6 switches, then we have to go into this user switch, like right click on the user switch, open block, then you have to add them here, an additional port here. Then inside the 5, you have to define another 5 port for the port 6 as well. So just replicate the same instantiations done here. That will be able to help you instantiate more of them. So the next parameter is clock, CPU clock rate megahertz. According to the clock rate megahertz, we can see a difference in the processing capabilities of the switch as well. So then there is a VLLPU format. According to its whether 0 or 1, the identifier selected for matching, getting a perfect match with the incoming data frame will be varied. So if it is 0, we use the MAC address. No, we use the MAC address along with the VLAN ID. If it is 1, we use VLID field, virtual link identifier field. So we use the by default it is set to 0. Then the mirror code, by default it is -1. If you want to enable the mirror code, there is another parameter at bottom here for saying enable mirroring. So if it is checked and we have given a valid port value here, then the copy of the data is coming over will be sent it over to that port as well. Then we have the schedule table over here, which is necessary to be it has to be configured properly for getting here to use it with the TSN scheduler. So if you are using that, so there is another parameter for the user to enable here, use TSN scheduler. If this parameter is checked, then this database will be used. So we will be loading this database, getting the delta value. So what a delta means, let's for the first case, let's consider this case, port 0. So there is 8 entries from priority 0 to 7, and the corresponding deltas assigned for it. So delta for a delta value of 1 means the resolution is for the TSN schedule, the resolution is 200 nanoseconds. So a delta value of 1 means 200 nanoseconds. A delta value of 3 means 600 nanoseconds. So according to that delta value and the time, so let's say this one, then that port 0 priority 0 will be, that gate will be open for 200 nanoseconds. The priority 1 queue will be open for 600 nanoseconds. So similarly, all of that will be scheduled here. So this when the TSN scheduler will arrange them in ascending order, so that the lowest delta will be fired up first, and so on and so on. And That last we will be having the highest delta. So we can see in the default template for the port number 2, priority 3 and 4, we can see the delta values of 5000 and 8000. So this means of 1 millisecond time, this is 1.6 millisecond time. The gate will be open for respective use. Then if you have enabled debug, if you want to get more detailed information on how and when and where the packets are moving, you can enable that. And then you have the port VLAN config table. So by default, if the incoming packets are not having the VLAN ID tag, then it will be looking upon this table and getting the default uh, ID values, VLAN tag and VLAN priority value. Then there is the XMMI mode parameter table, which is used to specify whether it is a physical or a MAC connection that the switch is emulating along with the interface speeds. So we have bit 10, bit, all of them are bit 10. It can be bit 00, bit 01, bit 10. If it is bit 11, it is not defined as of now. Then we have the VLAN lookup table where the VLAN ID and the priority are mentioned. If the incoming packet VLAN ID and the priority are matching, then we will look for the port nums. If it is mentioned, if the incoming port num is mentioned, then that VLAN ID will be accepted. If not, then that packet will be dropped. Then we also have L2 policing table where we can see the policing informations are mentioned. The maximum packet, the data size, the rate, the max length, then the partition as well. We also then the next parameter is the L2 address table where the MAC address, then the destination port, whether it's a multi-destination or a single destination, according to the VLAN ID is mentioned here. We also have L2 forwarding table where according to the type of packet, we have different domains to look up for. So let's say a broadcast message is being sent over. Then we will look into this broadcast domain and check whether all the ports are set to, all the broadcast domain ports are enabled. If one of them is not enabled, then we won't be sending the broadcast signal to that port. If it is a normal message, then again, when it is coming into the forwarding domain, it will check the reach domain column and check whether the port is enabled to accept it. By default, every port has been enabled so that no packet can drop here. By any chance, if any unknown packet arrives in the forwarding domain, and then we will look up on this FL domain column. So this defines if an unknown packet comes in, to which port we can forward it to. Then we also have VLAN priority mapping. So a total of 12 entries are here, and these entries are selected according to the priority values. And the first 5 are for the broadcast domain, and the other 5 are for the normal transactions. So a detailed description of this is mentioned in the documentation as well. Now let's take a look into VLLU table. This is what when we are having a when we have enabled the TSN scheduler, these tables will be loaded up. Otherwise, the VLLU, VL policing, VL forwarding tables are not used. So in VLLU, we'll be looking up, we'll be seeing whether it is a critical transaction, the MAC address corresponding to it, the incoming port, whether it is coming in the corresponding VLAN ID. This dashboard is only used for if a best effort packet comes in. For the critical packets, the destination port mentioned in this one will be used, the VL forwarding table. So there is a set of VL policing informations mentioned here as well, the back values, the jitter values as well. So, and more information on how this information is being set can be obtained on here while by just doing a right click, documentation, get documentation. So it will open up a new window which will give you description on how the switch is working. So we can the first itself we can see a hyperlink. Let's click on here. It opens up a detailed window. So we can see the detailed documentation on this ether switch. What is happening in the ingress stage, forwarding stage, and the egress stage. The parameters, the table configurations. So let's scroll up down to VL policy. So we can see the band gap allocation gap, the bandwidth allocation gap value. So the entry value, so you can see it is 5, but it is taken in 100 microseconds. So we have to multiply the 5 with 100 microseconds, and the back will be 500 microseconds. Then this one, the jitter, it is calculated in uh, with a multiplier of 10 microseconds. So there are some use cases with the limiting conditions defined here as well. If the conditions are not satisfied, then user will be displayed with an error statement. Then we have the forwarding table. So let's take a look at the forwarding table. So the VL forwarding table, you can see, as I mentioned, the destination port from here will be taken in. So if it is type true, then it is a time critical packet. Otherwise, it is a rate constraint packet. So on here, we have a scan order table. This is for the non-TSN cases. So when we are using a non-TSN scheduler, the order in which we are polling the queue, that is defined here. So for each port, we can mention the desired order. So we can see for port 2, the scanning will start from priority 4, 5, then 2, 3, 6, 7, then 1, 0. So you can mention it there as well. So let us take a let us run this model without using the TSN scheduler first. So I click on run. So this is a monitor window. If any faults are detected, it will be printed here. So if any faults come up, we can obtain that information right over here. We have the throughput information here. We can see it is in megabytes per second. So when it converts to bits, we can see around 80, 85 megabits per second. So we have a bit of statistics here. So one thing that I would like to mention here is that we can see it is as per egress port. So these are the latencies of packets coming in at the egress port with respect to the egress port. So you can see this black dot over here. This is because of this was obtained. This graph was plotted because of the data is coming in to port 3. But this doesn't say which all ports were sending to this port 3. But over here we can see which one was responsible for that. So we can see at the latency 2.50, that is caused by port 4 over here. So the port 4 is sending, so we can make a conclusion from here. But in this case, most of them are one-to-one mapping. We can make it one-to-many mapping and see how the latency changes as well. Then we have the detailed throughput information. Then we also have per port as per incoming port pages and as per egress port basis. We also have the transmit buffer occupancy over here. So now let us make go over here and then let's say change the speed. Now it is in RGMMI MII mode. Now let us make it to MII. So that is B00. So let me just run this model real quick. So we can see how that has an impact here. The plots are going up, the latency is increasing because interface speed is low, and you can see where that port is being. So let us take a look at the destination. So we can see F6 VLAN ID 10 is sent to dashboard 0. So the packets generated from port 0 as well as the packets going to port 0 will be causing a longer delay. So that can be easily viewed there. So now let me just put it back here at 10. Then let me just make the speed to let's say um, 100 megahertz. Now when I run it, we can see a different behavior altogether. So it is not able to process all the packets coming in, and it's getting a bit congested over here. So in that case, so we can see how the speed also contributes. We can see how the speed contributes to the simulation. So we can mention. Let's try again with the 1000. We can see a deterministic behavior over here. Now let me use the TSN scheduler. So I'm just gonna click over here. We can see a totally different behavior over here. This is because we haven't actually configured the TSN schedule table properly. So with the packets are getting to wait for a longer time. The packets won't be able to send it in a single slot. They have to wait for multiple subschedules to send the packet fully. So you can see the packets are going up and up and up. Then there for the packets, as I mentioned, there is one subschedule with port 2, we can have a window of 1 millisecond. So from 1 millisecond to 2, it is getting the full access for it to send. So you can see the latency is going down here. So you can do a lot of different analysis using this as well. So if I make it, let me just use a normal one, and then let me just enable the debug here. And let me just try to run it. You can see all the information that is printed here. When the packets are arriving, all those different stages, all those information is being printed so that the user can know what exactly is happening in the model. So we are getting all those information, how the when where the packet is, the PCS scrambler, serializer, VLAN lookup, everything is being obtained over here. So now let us see what all things the user can do. So you can how the as per you can go over by doing the open block, then you can go inside and change the scheduling algorithms, and you can, if you're having a custom code, then you can put it on over here. All of that can be done. So you have, this is where we have implemented the scheduling algorithms. So this is for the TSN scheduler. So for the normal, for the non-TSN scheduler, we can double, you can see the different options that is available. So there is a list of options here: FCFS, round robin, weighted fair queuing, deficit round robin, strict priority, round robin priority. So all of that is being mentioned here. Now here we also have the this is where the scan order, you can see the scan order database is being read. Then if there is, if the scan order is not mentioned, then a default scan order priorities will be taken in, which is over here. All of that is being mentioned. So now the sorting mechanism, everything is being commented. The code is pretty much commented so as the user can come in and make some changes in the code as well. And as we mentioned, this will be having a detailed documentation, so user can come in here, get, click on the get documentation, and that will open up a list of detailed documentations. So you can click over here. As we can see, the tables are being mentioned. The This is defined as part of, as basis of a datasheet from NXP SJ1105TEL model. So you can see the datasheet from the link over here as well. So all of that has been mentioned here. So the mechanism or the flow is being mentioned here in the documentation as well. So if you come across any trouble while using this block, please mail us at info@mirabilisdesign.com. Thank you.